Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rambling Toffee podcast. I hope everybody's well this Wednesday. Sorry for the delay on this podcast this week. It's just due to the fact that I've been battling my usual condition, which is Meniere's disease, which is causing me to be dizzy, tinnitus, and hearing loss, which is absolutely terrible and it's not pleasant. So I've been battling with that and just starting to recover now. Starting to get better again and starting to settle down, which is great by the fact that we've got a game against Fulham on Saturday, which I would like to go to. So yes, so sorry for the delay, and thank you for your patience if you've been waiting for this podcast to come out this week. So yes, it's been another positive weekend since the international break. A good result down in Ipswich, but I'll get more into in a moment. A very brief rundown of the game. Obviously, I wasn't there, and I always saw the highlights. And I've tried to watch as much as possible of the game and get as much information as possible how the game was down there with the performance in general. So I'll get into that in a moment. So this podcast today is basically, obviously, about the game on Saturday and the game upcoming. But also I want to talk about obviously the takeover. There's been some stories that came out yesterday regarding that and regard when that completion will take place. So I'll get a bit into that. And also want to talk about the stadium, obviously, because we're getting close to completion on that, with the keys being handed over to Everton Football Club by Langer Rourke, roughly probably December time. So yes, it's an exciting period of time at the moment where we're doing well on the pitch. We're unbeaten in 4 games, and there's a bit of optimism in the air about that. It looks like we've finally turned that corner after the terrible start that we had. So that's a positive on that sense. But yeah, so for me, it's not just about moving into the stadium and close to completion and exciting times ahead for that and what's going to happen with the test events and when we all get the opportunity to find our seats and where we want to sit in the stadium, how much it's going to cost. Hopefully, it's not going to be a massive increase, which gets to a point that could I afford to actually pay for it for next season? So it'll be interesting to find out. Hopefully, we'll find out soon, I think, because just an interesting story. Because of my condition, I contacted the Disability Supporters Association at the club yesterday and basically asked the question because I sit in main stand one at Goodison currently, and so where I sit is not too bad for me with my condition because I'm not high up. I'm not right at the back of the main stand, where it's a little bit higher up for me, which can cause obviously dizzy spells for me or anything like that, and my issues with height. So I asked the question, and if you saw the tweet that they put out, the club is sending emails out to anybody who has a disability or an accessibility issues or issues at the ground. What's going to happen going forward regarding their seat and where they want to sit in the future. And I asked a question and said, when it comes to normal season ticket holders like myself, um, we can ask a question regarding where to sit. And ideally, for me, in the new stadium, where it may be, it'd be lower down, it'd probably be further down, not high up. Because if you've seen someone, especially where the home end's going to be and how steep that is down there, if I was sitting at the top of there, uh, I don't know what. I don't think I'll be able to go to the game if it's going to be like that. So it'd be interesting. So yes, so I'll talk more about that. So yeah, so on the front of the stadium, so we've got a lot of exciting times. What I think could happen, also what's going on down there with businesses like restaurants and bars, hotels, which we just found out that someone's got planning permission to build a hotel there as well, opposite the stadium. So which is going to be fantastic, and it's going to create a lot more, not just your game day. It's going to have an opportunity if you want to stay overnight before the game or after the game. You're going to have an opportunity to do so. So that's going to be great. So yeah, so we'll get to that later, but also get to talk about the takeover because they're all like all entwined, all comes together into one. So yeah, let's start with obviously the Ipswich result on Saturday. Good 2-0 win down there. Obviously Ipswich are struggling as well. The first season back in the Premier League. I spoke with the guys down at down at Ipswich. I did a review for them, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head. So apologies if you see this podcast. Um, so it was a good, it was good to be able to, interact with them and to talk about Everton and how we're doing this season, how things are moving forward and everything else. But, for them, they've got a team that they've spent some money in the summer and just not settled down yet. They've got some points on board, obviously, so they have started okay to an extent, but they are near the bottom end of the table. And the Premier League, as it is an absolute. It's a tough league for any club coming in from the Championship and coming up against an Everton team that has been struggling, uh, but we seem to have picked up points and we started to gradually, you know, get back, settle down, and hopefully start moving up the table. So the inevitability is that it was going to be difficult for them against us. And I confident that we would get a result on Saturday. I wasn't that confident. It's just due to the fact that it's Everton Football Club, and we just don't know what we get with them week in week out. I mean, especially with injuries and everything else that's occurring at the club occurring at the moment, and illnesses as well, which is the second time now that we've had illness, an issue with that happening at the club. Um, but we do have players in the team that can just change the game like that, and it's what we needed. Ndiaye, if he was not playing, if he had that injury which he picked up in international duty, and he wasn't able to play, I think we would have struggled a little bit more. I know Dwight McNeil's doing well with his assists and also his goals that he is playing well in that number 10 role, but Ndiaye is the one that is the catalyst. Is basically the player that we need in the team, who's creative, who causes trouble for defenders and for anybody around him, and he just disrupts. He gets the ball, he goes at pace against the defence, and he's everything that we've been looking for a while. I've said about him, he's very got a reminiscence of Stephen Pienaar, and he's a kind of player that's very of if looking currently or in the modern times, very much like Richarlison, a player that we as a fan base can get right behind. We like him. He's a down to earth guy. Whenever you see him being interviewed, he's likable in so many ways. But he's worked hard. He puts the effort in for the team. He's not just what his job is to do on that wing is to get forward and be creative and imaginative and score goals, obviously, and give opportunities for the rest of the team to get forward and actually score goals as well. So it's been really really good signing, and hope he continues to play like he is doing, gets better and better, because he's the key player now. And last season, our key player that we always talk about was Jared Bramley, obviously defensively. Without him throughout last season when he has been playing, I don't think we would have struggled. Um, in the league if he come on the scene and actually have such a massive impact last season. And it's good to come away with a result against Ipswich, as much as it's Ipswich Town, and that's no disrespect to Ipswich Town. Come away with a result. We had to beat everybody. The opposition, whoever we're playing, it's always going to be a tough game against anybody we play in the Premier League, bottom or top. It doesn't matter. But we needed to win. We needed to get some momentum after the international break. Coming off that 0-0 against Newcastle, we needed to keep going. We needed to take the opportunities, get the points, and start moving up the table. And that's what it's looking likely we're going to start to see. And hopefully, with injuries as well, the players coming back like Jabramway obviously could have started on Saturday, but they decided to rest him and give him the extra week to get him prepared and get him ready for the Fulham game. Hopefully, he should be back. But yeah, it was a good result, good performance from the team. First half, I think Ipswich had a penalty which obviously was overturned, but you know we could be 3 or 4. We had opportunities obviously with Calvert Lewin through on goal. Obviously, the keeper saved on that one. Um, and I think it could have been a different story into that second half. We kind of died off near the end of the second half. As we made substitutes and Dye came off. We kind of allowed pressure from Ipswich to have some opportunities near the end of the game. And it seems to be the same thing with most games this season, where basically we're we play well in a sense. We create the opportunity to go get into the lead, but then we seem to start around 70-minute mark. We seem to start tired, and I don't know why that is. The energy's there, adrenaline to keep on pushing, to get a third goal to just completely finish the game, but it just seemed to start to die, and it seems to be a weekly occurrence with Everton at the moment. They put all the effort and energy into the first 60, 70 minutes and then start to tire off and certain players start to get tired and restart after. But this is where everyone knows my opinion about Sean Dyche, what I think the future will be. I'll talk to that more when we get to talk about the takeover and also moving forward. But his game management has always been an issue, and making the right changes at the right time. Things, the setup again, the formation tactics, and the way things are away from home. It always sets up okay, and as a manager, he puts the players know what they're doing, and at the end of the day, we get a result. So, in the positive frame of mind, he did his job on Saturday, and well done to him for doing that. But again, substitutions, it's when he makes those decisions. That's always going to be a rankle with me. Got regarding his game management, and that's always going to be the same thing. But if we're winning 3 or 4 nil, it's a different set of circumstances. You can make changes whenever he wants to because you're more relaxed about it. But when I don't know if maybe it's because we talk about games management. I'm trying to find reasons why you know the decisions he makes are a bit strange and why they're causing issues and causing problems for the team in the last 20 minutes from the end of the game. Maybe it's because we've got a very small squad and we have got players on the bench which you can swap and change it, freshen it up because you can do that. But I don't know if he just feels that he doesn't have confidence of bringing them on to actually, you know, take out the game and then we'll see what do you guys think? Why is that a constant problem? Um, Even in a win that we've got against Ipswich, but when we're playing against the top sides who further up the table, can he actually that game manager can that actually work? What he's doing, just keeping it thinking, if I keep everything as it is, we'll get to the end of the game. We'll get through it. We'll get through it. I don't need to bring anybody on. I may think about 80 minutes and think around 10 minutes when it's a bit too late. It's things like that, and it's just a frustrating thing. It's a bugbear of mine, and it's a bugbear of probably of a lot of fans. But he did his job. He set up well, and he put the team out as to do a job. He took a gamble with not bringing Bramley in when he was available to come back in, so he made the call not to bring him in, and you know, and keeping Ashley Young and keeping Michael Keane in that position, centre back. Ashley Young obviously been playing well as well, so I'm putting props out to players that, for me, in the early part of the season and also last season, have been whenever they have played, have been disappointed. They've been rash. They've been making errors. They're error prone in every way, and that's a consistency that has been happening for a long, long time with those players. And I'm not, I'm calling them out, and I don't care if what people think. Let me know what you think. But I'm calling them out. But when they're not playing well, and this is one about consistency. Consistently, week in, week out, they're when they have played, they are prone to errors. That's what's happened. And that's where the frustration comes from me and probably from a lot of other fans regarding Michael Keane and regarding Ashley Young in these instances. And I would also pull out like Tarkovsky's not had a good start to the season. He's had an injury, but when he has played, he's been slow. He's been making errors. Jordan Pickford had a poor start to the season in some ways, and he's also been making errors as well. We've seen that. So we call it out. I will call it out. When players are not playing well, I'll call it out. But when they're playing well and they're doing their job, I will call that out as well. So, on Saturday, Ashley Young was fantastic. Had a good performance, played really, really well. He was up and down that line. He was doing a really, really good job. And, props to him. And he was probably one of the man of the matches for the game. And Ndiaye was up there, obviously. But with Ndiaye at the moment in time, it's a consistency. Week in, week out, he's getting back, doing his job defensively, but also doing the job going forward, creating opportunities, being a menace, basically. So he's a consistency. Dwight McNeil is about consistency again. Sometimes in the yes, his stats are telling you assists and scoring goals, but in the game itself, sometimes he can be inconsistent. Sometimes you get the best of him when he's absolutely flying. Sometimes you get when he's not. When he scored that goal against the 2 goals against Crystal Palace, that cracker that he wasn't really playing that great, and that's what happens in football. Sometimes you can not play great, but you can score 2 goals, and then you get the plaudits afterwards. But sometimes it's if you really want to be in depth with this, is that yes, he scored 2 goals, but reality is that in the game itself, he didn't have the greatest of performances. And I had a game this season where he didn't play great, but he still was hassling. He was still trying to do something. Still trying to get every other team members into the game. He was trying to drag us forward, and you can see that. So you can give in that sense. It's what you see. But on against Ipswich, it was a Michael Keane handout. That goal spectacular. He should be a striker. I think everybody thinks he should. His last year of his contract. Just obviously Bradford will be coming back in. Hopefully against Fulham, he'll be back on the bench. But you should be bringing him on as a striker. If we need that opportunity, we need somebody up there who can strike a ball really, really well, and he continues to do that. So there's your opportunity for him there. If he's not going to be in a defensive situation going forward. So if he's going to be sitting on the bench more often because obviously Jared Brandweight will be back and defensively, hopefully, will be a lot more stronger and we continue to actually go in that pathway. But he had a good game, and he played really, really well. And I'm really pleased for him that he did. And he's had a couple of good games now against Newcastle as well, and also against Ipswich. So it's great for him. And long may it continue with him. Long may performances continue like that. But at this moment in time, when you've got your first choice player, Jared Bombay, who's available, hopefully he'll be available against Fulham. We'll find out in the press conference on Thursday or Friday of this week um, if he's available, and if he comes straight back into the team, there you go. Michael Keane has to sit on the bench, but when he gets his opportunities, if he can be consistently, this is the key, consistently, and he can come on and do a job, then I'm all fine with that, and I have no issue with that. Ashley Young's the same thing, and actually he's doing really well in the games that he has been played lately, and he's doing the job. So fair dues, and long may it continue. So that's a positive on that front. I just thought it was a good 2-0 win. We just tied off near the end of it, but we move forward. We've got Fulham upcoming night game on Saturday evening. It's going to be a tough game because Fulham are a good team. Yes, they came off a defeat against Villa last week. So, it's an opportunity there that we can get a result against them um, going forward and, keep this momentum going. But it's Everton Football Club, isn't it? We keep on getting that hope, thinking that we can keep this going. And if we can keep it going and go into like 5 games and we beat Fulham, then we can go into the away game against Southampton. Then we've got an away game, obviously, it's West Ham. There's opportunities there to extend, get more points, and move further up the table, and be in a position as we're going into the December and lots of games that are going to come round in December that we're not worried about all being down at the bottom of the table, going to be scrapping in relegation fights and everything else, that we can be further up the table and be momentum. And this leads me on to obviously the takeover, because we're in that period of time where basically we're waiting for the obviously the freaking group are waiting for that approval from the Premier League and from the other approval bodies that they have to go through. Hopefully, they probably have got the approval from the FA and the Financial Conduct Authority. So hopefully that'll be done. Their tick boxes. Hopefully that's been done and dusted. We've probably not heard about it but it's just a Premier League approval, and hopefully we'll find out more about that as we, soon. It's getting imminent. It's getting closer. We're in. It's the 23rd of October today. Some people are saying it could be mid-November. It could be, could be December by the time that it's fully confirmed out there. We don't know. It's just how quickly that approval from the Premier League takes. I think we're all on tenterhooks. We just want it to be confirmed. We just want it to be sorted that we can then new era, basically new start. We've got a situation where they come in and start doing what they need to do, and that is stabilising this football club, getting it back to where it belongs, getting it back into a position where yes, we don't have all this debt, which they're going to wipe out, and we're going to be in a strong position. And what, as mentioned, as I get to talk about the stadium, is that's going to be the catalyst as well going forward, where money is generated from naming rights of the stadium, commercial deals, bigger commercial deals, hopefully, and start to bring more and more money coming in. And I think the stadium is going to be a catalyst, obviously, with the corporate situation where people are paying thousands of pounds just to go into the corporate sections of the new stadium, and it's just going to generate more and more money, and also everything that's going on around it. So this takeover, it's going to come at the right time, when it's completed, because they'll have time to come in and start getting themselves into a position where they can sort out the board, who they want to bring in, in a senior positions. Look at the club. They're probably already doing that in the moment, looking at the commercial side, looking at everything that's off the field activities, and saying we want better, because that is what this club deserves. I know I talk about, Neil's status needs to up to him, nothing but the best is good enough. What it means to me, that's what it means to me, and I want this freeing group to come in. It's not just to stabilise and get the right people in, but these people are ambitious and want to be number one and want to be the best in the Premier League. They want to be the best off the field, but also the best, obviously, on the field. And that's where, those discussions will start taking place as fans, as when they come in and when they make them decisions on the manager, on the director of football. Are they the right people to go forward into the future, into 5 years down the line, a project or plan where to take this club on the field, not just the first team, but the academy, the players, going right through, redeveloping it, develop it in a way that brings young players through into the first team and into where they can actually develop and actually become really, really good, hopefully great players, and get the right coaching, the right advice and guidance right from the minute they come into the club as an academy graduate, and move all the way through to the first team. And if we are going to be a club where basically these players get better and better and they do well for us in the first team, and then we start getting offers of hundreds, millions and millions and millions of pounds for these players, these assets, then that's great for us as well. If we have to make the decision to sell on, maybe we won't need to sell them on. Maybe they'll just develop and play in our team, and we will get better and better of it, and we'll move further and further up the table in this plan and become a club that we want it to be, a competitive club, a club that's got players that we care about, and players that are talented and really want to be successful at Everton Football Club. They don't want to be successful anywhere else. They want to stay at Everton to be successful. And they can see it. They can see it in their plans and what they want to do. And that's what this is, all these little bits need to come in. So the optimism, the excitement I have of a group, a freedom group, whatever you think of what's happening at Rover at the moment, that happens at every football club. But in Italy, it's a different. It's the reaction is very, very, way off the chain when you sack a manager who has one win in 14. You know, in Italy, one win in five, you can get sacked. And I've seen it. If you ever watch Italian football back in the day in the 90s, managers getting sacked every 5 minutes, and it's happening more and more in the Premier League now, where managers come in and they don't do well for 6, 7 games, bang, they're out, and you know that's the way the business is. Is that it's a result business, and it's how it is. But the freaking group coming in, when it gets completed, is that it starts this process of finally getting this club to move away. And what we're seeing currently is that in the Premier League at this moment in time, we're moving away from struggling in the relegation again. Hopefully, we could just continue growing and growing, moving up the table, and that won't be a worry for the freaking group, and they'll probably think, well, we'll leave it as it is with the manager and with the director. We'll leave it as it is currently because we're mid-table. There's no issues going on. We'll leave it be. Let's get ourselves sorted off the field, get everything sorted, and we'll start working on what we're going to do next for next season as we move into the new stadium and so forth. Now, when I say that, I know Martin out there, you're listening to this podcast. You know my opinion on Sean Dyche's manager. You know my opinion on Kevin Felwell. It's the same as yours. And basically, you know, he is only here to do a certain role, and that's to keep us in the Premier League and keep us where we are. And I'll heap praise on him when he's done well and so forth. But as you know, when that time arrives, when they come in, they will make that decision that if they want this club to move forward and to go to where it should go and where we want it to go, he will not be I don't think he will be the manager of the football club. He's got the end of the season, his contract is up, and I think we will take a different direction. And I think we need somebody coming in, hopefully a younger coach, hopefully with hunger and ambition and want to actually make this club a success and has a plan going forward. Who that may be, I don't know at this time. Uh, so we'll see, but that's down to their job, and that's getting the right people in. As for Kevin Felwell, he's made errors in his recruitment, and I've said all along that I feel that if he's near the end of his contract and this season as well, that if you as a new owner of a football club, you're getting a new CEO coming in, you're getting new people coming into the club with new fresh ideas. Unless unless they actually look at Kevin Felwell and think, oh, your ideas are great and we're going to keep with you, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be the case. Tell me, do you think Kevin Felwell should stay, you know, after this season, and to continue to develop and be part of the recruitment, which is a problem. We have a recruitment problem. We have a problem at the academy. We have a problem throughout the whole of the football structure, and it needs changing, and we can see it. So it's a decision by the freaking group when they come in and the people who will be appointed to say, are these the right people going forward to take this club to the next step? I don't think they are, personally. So anyway, that's my view and that's how I feel. So, but to get there at the moment, we have to let them make that judgment. Now, if they decide that Sean Dyche can have another season in Bramley Moore because he's kept us up and given an opportunity to actually next summer to actually spend on bringing players in, then I'll be questioning it and thinking, I'll question the ownership. Why he made that decision? Because he divides the fan base. Sometimes, he's critical of fans. He's sometimes what he says irritates, and it irritates the fan base. It winds people up. You need 100% the fan base right behind the manager, coach, whoever they decide, and everybody happy with that decision that they make, and we can get behind what they want to do. That's what you need. And at the moment in time, we've got a manager that is dividing everybody. And as much as I can praise him for when he's set up the team right or has done the right decisions he's made, that happens, but it's few and far between that happens when you can praise him. And it's the same with Kevin Felwell. you can praise him for bringing Ndiaye when you would think other clubs, why haven't they not detected this player? Why they've not brought him? Because he's doing so well for us. So he can get players right. Sometimes he can get the right player coming in, and I will praise him for that. But he's made decisions like on Beto, who is absolute not a great football player for us, and it's not working out because he's not a player that plays by himself in that formation, that team, and it's not worked. And he's tried him in that position when he brought Calvert-Lewin off, and it's not worked because he's not that kind of player. He plays in a two. He plays in a way that two strikers, and he plays in that sense off, getting into the box, doing that. He's not wants to drop down to get players in. He's there to sit, wait, get balls in the box, and he gets in the position. And it's not working for him. And I can see him going in January. But Beto or Chimiti's injury, he's going to be in the future. But that's the future. I know injuries are, we've seen potentially how good he can be, but he's got an injury. And when he does come back, it's going to take time before he comes back. And when he does finally start to come back, he's going to be sitting on the bench. And it's going to be a while before we see him actually in full flow and get to see the best of him if we do. And it's like with James Patterson. I don't know if he has, you know, is he a good enough player for us? But he's not been given the opportunity to. I know injury is coming blighting him, and I just want to see, give him an opportunity. It's decisions like that where does he like him? Does he want him to play? Is he just going to sit on the bench and they're just going to keep on using Ashley Young and then Seamus Coleman to play in that position where you've got a young player there that if he comes in and he doesn't play well and consistently, give him opportunities and he doesn't do it, then you can make a decision. Okay, he's not good enough for Everton Football Club, but he's not given that opportunity as such. And if he's just going to keep on playing those two, then he's obviously got a problem with it. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that as well. So for me, it's going to be interesting when they take over. It's exciting because of who they are and what businesses that they have and what they're hopefully going to bring into the club, their expertise, and they know football and they know how to run a football club, and it's going to be good to see what they can bring in and bring in outside people. And no disrespect to bringing people who know the club and are fans of the club, and they may have business acumen or whatever. It shouldn't be on just the fact that they support Everton Football Club. They have to come from outside. They have to have an outside mind to come into the football club. They have a knowledge of football, obviously, what you have to, but also understands the business outside football as well and how to bring commercially and bringing money into the football club to get us in the position that we can actually go out and spend money on players and get players in and start to strengthen this team and get the best out of them, and also the players that we currently have who potentially, like Jared Brantwaite as an example, he may go on in the summer um, to another club. But if Brad Brantwaite sees that, oh, it's all happening at Everton Football Club, we're bringing good players in now, I think I might stay here. I don't think I really need to go anywhere else. I think this team's going to go, and I want to be part of that. You never know. It's like with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's been offered a contract, obviously, and he's turned it down. He wants to move on. Maybe he sees the same thing. He thinks, oh, hey, we're bringing all really good top players are coming into this club now. Let's I might just stay because it look. I know so. And if the new manager coming in, might see something differently. They might see something with Dominic Calvert and think, oh, we can have you with a two. You can stay in your central where your strength is. Let's work on your strength where you're best at. Let's do something. Let's see what goes. But that's the future. That's the exciting times of what could be the future. But isn't it fun that when we're okay at the moment. We've come past that period of when we're losing games, that we can be optimistic and think what our future is going to be, even you know what's on the field currently and where we could be going in the future. So let's see what happens. It's going to be a wonderful ride. Hopefully, this time a positive ride. Okay, it might be bumpy as well. It's like a roller coaster. It's going to be up and down. So it's going to be like that for a period of time until it settles and everybody's in the right position. We start seeing a movement, and obviously, we move on to the stadium. Obviously, and moving into the stadium. And for me, it's going to be so exciting. I know my mate James, who I go to the game with. He doesn't want to do the test. He's going to do the virtual thing. I'm tempted to actually do the test events when they're available. I'll willingly take a day work to go and actually get on a train, go to Bramley Moore and go and um, you know, do the test event, see what it's like, get into a seat, hopefully get in my own seat where I want to be, and see what it feels like and be part of what testing the concourses and everything else about it. It's good, exciting times. And when I had Mark on, he's down there most of the time with the video and everything else, obviously with Baz and Mr. Drone and everybody else who's going down there at the moment and putting the great content out there. It's just going to be excitement. And if you're at Bramley Moore pub as well, and it's what's going to happen to them? The excitement of the fans going to be there. You've got thousands of fans who want to go into Bramley Moore for a pint of Guinness and, going there and chat, before a game and it's not far away. And you've got the other bars and the restaurants and now a hotel, obviously, getting the approval to be built as well. All the things that's going to start building up around it. It's just going to regenerate. It's typical about regenerating an area which has been a poor area there, and it's just going to be absolutely wonderful. And it's just really excited to see it. And this is why, I've done the podcast for the last 2, 3 years. When I did this podcast, was basically I just wanted to moan about the board and the way things are when I started doing this about 2 years ago. And it was just the direction was taken. I was frustrated. I wanted an outlet to get it out there how I felt. And I just thought, well, I'll do a podcast, get it out there. I knew the audience. I've listened and appreciated whatever I said. Come back to me, comment on it. I've always appreciated it week in, week out. So that's when I've done this. And now we're coming into an exciting time, an exciting period, hopefully, where we can move forward together, not just as fans, but as a club. We're going into a brand new stadium. We can, because we started getting results now, we can start reminiscing and talking about Goodison and our last season there, because it's going to be a sad period of time when we leave. And I want to talk about the great times that you had at Goodison. What games you played, where you went to, what was the best game you've been to. Obviously, there's been disappointing things happening at Everton Football Club, but there's been so many good stuff. The players that you've seen, the history, everything about it. That's what is great about being an Everton fan. Everything about Everton Football Club. Goodison Park, we can be sad that we're not going to say goodbye to it at the end of the season, but we can be excited that we're going to go into a brand new stadium where, you know, it's the future and it's where we want to be. When I talk about the past, the present, and the future, the past, we've had some wonderful times in the past. The present time, it's been difficult and struggling and concerning and everything about it, and it's been stressful and everything that is ongoing. But the future is there. Is a glimmer of hope. There's a flower that's started to grow again, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to get that flower. It's going to grow and grow and grow and grow. And we are our age, our whatever, the young fans, the old fans who watched when we've been successful to ones that have not really seen much success, have seen mostly struggles. And for anybody out there, it's looking likely finally we're going to move forward. But I'm being optimistic. I'm hopeful that everything that I'm saying today, everything that I want to say out there, that is is out there. And I just hope people that come into this football club, when they come in, actually get us and actually care about us. Actually know that we're custodians. That they're only there for here to just look after the place for a period of time and to get this club back where it fully deserves. And I'm not being arrogant. We have to work hard to get to that position. And I know that. But if you've got a fan base that everybody's together, everybody's optimistic and passionate and want to get behind the team and will do anything and everything in their power to get this team to where we want it to go to, that standard of Neil Satter's optimum, nothing but the best is good enough. Should instill in us that we want. That's what we want. Nothing but the best is good enough for this football club. Nothing but the best. And if we got people who are coming in that believe in that mantra, that believe in that I think our future is going to be very bright and it's going to be really, really positive. At the end of the day, all we have to think about is what we see on the football field, the players that play for our football club, the people that we care about. If they go out on the field and can be competitive, be, determined, passionate, put everything, all their blood, sweat, and tears into that team, into their performances week in, week out, and manager, the coaches, everybody, all in one, all putting everything out there on the field of play, because that's the first thing we need. And then we can just move from there. We'll get better and better. And when we are on all together, the atmosphere, we've seen it at Goodison, we've seen it in games when we've needed to get behind the team. When you see that and when you feel that passion come straight through to the players when we're right behind them, if it's a night game, day game, whatever situations that we've been in lately, when we're all a one, oh, you just imagine what would happen if we are successful, if we can get back to there, be in Europe again, win a trophy, being up there again. In Bramley Moore Dock, 52,000 fans right behind you. Oh, it's worth everything in the world. Oh, you will not see anything like it. And the last time I can remember the likes of it, of an atmosphere that is Bayern Munich. That was the last time my granddad told me that atmosphere. I watched it on the TV. I wasn't there, but I've been told by friends, by anybody, on social media, people have told me that Bayern game, that atmosphere, unbelievable. If we can replicate that and have that in Bramley Moore Dock and we can get that, we will not be bar touching. And we deserve that. But we have to work hard to get to it. We can work hard as fans to get on the field, to get behind the teams that are put out there. But it's down to the players, the manager, and everybody else off the field to drive this forward. And if you could get that, different world. So anyway, yeah, I've rambled on a bit too long, but that's my thoughts. Probably got more things on it anyway. So yes, so that's this week. We've got Fulham upcoming. I will hopefully do a podcast on Monday with my review of the game against Fulham. Hopefully another 3 points. Hopefully another good positive performance going forward. It's a night game, so hopefully the atmosphere is going to be fantastic as well. Let's get behind the boys, as I've always said, and let's go forward. So on that front, thank you again for listening to this podcast and watching. I do appreciate the support that you've been giving me. Watch out for future podcasts that I'm going to have with other people on, coming onto the podcast and talking about all things Everton, not just the past, the present, and the future. Mark, thank you for joining that. I think I've heard it before, but basically that's what my podcast is all going to be about: the past, the present, and the future, and where we are from that point of view. So, thank you everybody again for listening and watching. Thank you for support. Please drop any comments below in the comments on social media, on Spotify or on Apple or on YouTube or wherever you can find this podcast. And you can comment on it. Let me know what you think of the podcast, what you think of today's podcast, and everything else that I've mentioned today. So on that note, everybody have a good rest of the week. I'll speak to you again next week. So take care. This is the Rambling Toffee, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.